The article was about fringe elements, alienating supporters, and I mean, if they were there the morning that I got arrested, they would have seen the most peaceful protest ever. I mean, we gave up two people, one that threw a firecracker and one that threw a bottle at the police, and we threw them into the police because that's not who we are. So yeah, I mean, and there were some incidents in Oakland, but I mean, they're overshadowing the very few, are with the very few people that are doing violent acts with the thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of peaceful people that were in the streets that night. Basically what had happened, we were trying to have GA in, what's the name of that park? Can't remember what the square was, but off of 4th and Main. And we were in the very corner of the park next to the relaxation tent, trying to hold solidarity with them. And supposedly the police told us that we could be there, and then right around 12, they start telling us that we need to leave, and they started lining up and moving towards us. I was in the front, and there were a bunch of people behind me, so I just started getting prepared, I guess, and started locking arms with people next to me. There was a kid next to me that kept getting his hair, I had gotten ripped apart from one person and then ended up getting backwards and was trying to hold this one kid that kept getting his hair pulled by the police. And I was trying to keep him in the group. And then Cameron came up and he started holding both of our legs together, which held us up for a while, but the second that I got peeled off, they peeled off the guy that they were pulling hair, and then Cameron just came right up after that because he was sitting down. And they drugged me off, which, I mean, the dragging me off wasn't that forceful, but once they had me on the ground, they kept trying to put joint locks on me. Luckily, I know a little jiu-jitsu, so I kept sliding out of the joint locks. And then they had a lot of problems getting the cuffs on my back. They ended up putting 2 or 3 different handcuffs on me. And then one officer got on my leg and put my leg into a joint lock and said, "I'm going to break your leg, I'm going to break your leg." And tried to put the pressure on my leg to break it, and again, no jiu-jitsu, so I slid out of it. If it wasn't for that, I probably would have a broken leg. I would have been one of the 3 people in the hospital. I had 2 or 3 other police officers on my back already, and then had him on my leg. There were a lot of them that didn't have their name tags on, they didn't have badge numbers. The one cop that I do remember, that I remember seeing, was Tsukimoto, and he did not actually have his name on here. I was like, "Where are your guys' names?" And he goes, he wasn't even the one that attacked me. He was standing by me because I refused to walk under my own momentum to take down their numbers so they couldn't beat as many people. But I forgot to even mention, when I was turned around, there's actually video of this somewhere, where a cop is going like this into my back, several times. And I remember getting hit a couple of times with batons. I'm very unlucky in the fact that I do not bruise easily. So I don't have a bruise on my body, but it hurts. My back and my legs still hurt. I know as far as the march of about 8,000 people on Sunday morning, they said that we were going to have 200 armed people from Oakland and Seattle coming, and that's partial truth, because we had backup people from Oakland and Seattle coming, but they were never supposed to be armed. They were supposed to be peaceful. And they also said that we would have people waiting in trees to drop on them, which is not true. There were people talking about locking themselves up in the trees so the cops would have to come get them, and And then there were also a couple of mentions about putting live stream up the trees so they could get really good vantage points of the actions going on. So they're taking partial informations and they're just twisting them for their own means. They tried to say that we threw rocks at them. It's not true. They were talking about how there were weapons found, and I think the most deadly weapon that they found was a knife about that long. And I mean, there's a lot of people that carry knives around on a regular basis. So I mean, the fact that they found just that is pretty ridiculous as far as them saying that they would have found weapons. I mean, really, what are you going to do with a knife against a cop with pepper spray and mace and tasers and guns and shields and riot gear? I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, a knife's not going to do anything. They've been trying to say that they didn't hurt anybody in Sunday morning's altercations, and they almost paralyzed somebody. They put another person in the hospital. And I mean, they're trying to make us out to be violent so they can be violent against us. And that's not fair at all. I mean, it's like there are two incidences that were somebody threw a firecracker and somebody threw a bottle in Sunday morning's protest, the early morning protest. We actually gave those people up to the police because they were being violent, and that is not part of who we are. And somehow that's completely overshadowed by a couple of other people in Oakland that were on a violent fringe. And it's like, that's not who we are. We're trying to show that as much as possible. We told them we loved them over and over and over again. And somehow that's all ignored. I mean, it's the mass majority are peaceful, loving people that are trying to do their best, and they're getting beat down by police officers, and somehow it's getting justified. It's not fair. They took me to a parking garage off of 45th and Burnside. And so basically a lot of people are theorizing that they're just trying to pull us out of the city so that we're not in a group. And they're just trying to like disconnect all of us. Yeah. Because that's not, I don't even think that's an actual police station from what some people are saying. Then from there I didn't have my ID because I gave my ID up because I had some people telling me that it's better not to have your ID because if you don't have your ID, they can't book you. But then I actually got arrested, and they were basically saying they were going to hold me for 72 hours and book me as John Doe, and then try to figure out who I was after the fact. So it really didn't work. And so like I just ended up giving them my name, and so now I'm booked as my own name. But the thing is I don't think they ever verified who I was, so they just charged Blair Stuwe, and like that could be some random person that's not me. Yeah. So it's kind of ridiculous. They read me my rights after they tried to prod me to talk, and then they read me my Miranda rights. So yeah, they not when they should have. And it was after I actually refused to talk to them, and then they read me my Miranda rights.
Do you recall offhand how many other people were arrested that day?
I think there were 58. If I'm not mistaken, there were 22 in one bus and 36 in the other. There was so much chaos those days. It's just like nobody really knew what to do, and there was no clear direction on where to go with things. So it was just kind of like, I tried to walk around and clean things up, and it's like I ended up cleaning up a bunch of posters that I was just like, these posters are we really leaving? Like, these posters are stating our message and they need to be here. So I don't really know what to do with that. Like, I don't really know what to do with random people's tents that are still up. And it just like, I have no idea what to do. And I think if we were given more than 62 hours, and if he would have asked us to leave as far as trying to force us to leave, we probably would have coordinated that a little bit better. But I think the fact that he tried to force us to leave, we got defiant, because it was like we just were getting jerked around. So I don't think a lot of people will want to cooperate at that point.